Wild boars are a nightmare for farmers. Powerful and thick-skinned animals that dig up the ground in search of food, destroy pastures, and trample delicate crops in a single night's rampage. What's truly alarming is that they're not just a nuisance. They're an invasive species with an almost unstoppable reproductive rate, with a single female capable of giving birth to as many as 12 piglets in one litter, and doing this twice a year. That's potentially 24 new boars from just one mother annually. And when multiplied across hundreds or thousands of animals, it becomes clear why their population explosion is so hard to contain. Local authorities have tried everything: steel traps, reinforced fences, and even chemical deterrents. But the boars always adapt. They are intelligent, cunning, and fiercely determined to find food, no matter the cost to human livelihoods. For many rural communities, this has escalated into a battle of endurance. Farmers plant and protect, while the boars raid and destroy. That's why today, our hunting team has decided to head out, not just for the passion of the hunt, but also to protect the fields and livelihoods of farmers whose hard work is being wiped out in hours by these relentless invaders. The morning sun was just starting to warm the air when we arrived at the first location, a small forest patch tucked behind a neighbor's house, the smell of damp earth and pine needles hanging in the air. We unloaded our gear, checked our rifles, and released the dogs, their noses twitching as they picked up scents from the undergrowth. The plan was simple: spread out, maintain sight lines, and wait for the signal from the dogs when they cornered a boar. It didn't take long. The stillness of the morning was shattered by the sharp, urgent barking of the dogs. From deep within the forest, a heavy rustling grew louder until a massive wild boar burst out, tusks glinting, eyes wild, charging straight toward us. My heart pounded as I tracked its movement through my scope. The first 2 shots grazed its back, making it stagger but not stop, and the third shot finally hit home, right behind the shoulder, collapsing the animal mid-stride. Our first trophy of the day lay before us, but there was no time to linger. After scouting the area for a while, it became clear this forest was relatively small and held few more boars. So the team decided to relocate to a larger hunting ground. The dogs, still full of energy, bounded ahead, their barks echoing through the trees, and as soon as we emerged from the forest's edge, we spotted movement by a narrow stream. Another boar, younger but just as determined, trying to hide beneath a fallen tree trunk. I raised my rifle slowly, lined up the shot, and squeezed the trigger. The crack of the gun echoed, and the animal fell instantly. Beyond the stream was a hillside thick with shoulder-high bushes, an ideal hiding place for boars. From my elevated vantage point, I scanned the terrain carefully, and patience paid off as a dark, bulky shape slipped between the bushes. Several shots rang out almost simultaneously from our group. My bullet connected, but the boar, fueled by adrenaline, turned, and ran a few meters before collapsing and rolling down the slope. By midday, we moved to another known hotspot, a deep forest where boar packs were often seen, and the dogs immediately picked up a strong scent. We crept forward and spotted a group hidden behind dense foliage. I fired a few rounds to flush them out, and the forest erupted with noise grunts, barking, and the thundering of hooves as the boars scattered in all directions. I tracked one that tried to double back and fired, dropping it instantly. The hunt continued into the late afternoon as we pushed deeper into the forest, our boots crunching over fallen leaves, until we reached a trail leading out toward open. Land, where we decided to wait, hoping to intercept boars returning to cover. Suddenly, one shot across the path in a blur of brown, kicking up dust. I swung my rifle up instinctively, firing before it disappeared into the brush, and moments later another followed, which I dropped cleanly with my second shot. As the sun began to sink behind the hills, the forest was bathed in warm, golden light, and we started our journey back, each of us carrying the weight of the day's hunt, both in meat and in satisfaction, but knowing the fight against these animals wasn't over and that tomorrow they'd return somewhere else, calling us back into action. For the past 2 weeks, in a rural region of Turkey, villagers had been voicing desperate complaints, their fields torn apart, crops uprooted, and livestock injured or killed in nighttime raids. Traditional defenses like firecrackers, guard dogs, and makeshift barriers had failed, and faced with such losses, they reached out for help. Our hunting team answered the call, and the first ambush of the day began before the sun fully cleared the horizon, with mist clinging to the low ground as we moved quietly into position. From the distance, we spotted movement, dark shapes materializing through the fog, and at the sound of the first gunshot, the boars bolted, crashing through shrubs and dry branches. A few well-placed rounds brought down the lead animal, and the rush of victory was quick but satisfying. We didn't have time to rest, as the herd was on the move, cutting through rough terrain and forcing us to constantly shift positions and adjust scopes. Shots rang out across the valley, each one a calculated attempt to halt the destruction these animals would bring if they escaped. At one point, a boar broke from the brush only meters from me, and I raised my rifle and fired, but missed. Before I could chamber another round, my partner, positioned further down the slope, fired and dropped it instantly. The teamwork kept the hunt efficient, and morale stayed high. The barking of our dogs drew us to another confrontation with a boar that was clever, darting through narrow passages between boulders and weaving through the undergrowth like smoke slipping between fingers. Our bullets tore through leaves and branches, but it managed to slip away. Frustrated, but not defeated, we pressed on toward higher ground, following tracks and overturned soil. And from the mountain ridge, we spotted a herd charging downhill. We quickly split up to block potential escape routes, and the moment they broke cover, we unleashed a barrage of fire, with 2 falling instantly while the rest scattered in confusion. But the most memorable moment came later, when under fierce pursuit by our dogs, an enormous boar exploded out of the bush, nearly bowling over one of our hunters.
If you'll enjoy this video, please like and subscribe my channel for more information.